All right, so we're gonna get these short ribs down into this roasting pan. We're gonna just toss them right in there. I got about 5 pounds of short bone-in short ribs that I said I was gonna do today for Mother's Day. So we're gonna get these done. I got them all cleaned up with some vinegar, some lemon, and some lime, and they ready to go. So that's what the short ribs looking like. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get them all positioned. It don't matter how you have them; they all gonna bake. I got the oven heating at 375 degrees. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna hit them with some oil. All right, we're gonna hit them with some oil just so they stay moist in the oven because they're gonna cook for about 3 hours. All right, we're gonna put quite a bit of oil because we got quite a bit of short ribs. All right, so what we're doing is we got that oil in there. Now I'm gonna get at a mix, make sure everything got oil on it because that's what's gonna help everything to stick. So we're gonna do these short ribs and we're gonna do our gravy, and these short ribs gonna come out nice and tender. All right. I know I'm wearing gloves, but I'm still gonna wash my hands off. All right. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna hit it with some beef bouillon. We're gonna put a good amount of this in there. Even though we have some beef broth we could throw in there at the end, we're gonna hit it with a good amount of this beef bouillon. Then next, you know we're going with the Creole seasoning. Y'all know this. Slap your mama. We're going in with some slap your mama in here. We're going to put us a good amount of that too, because these are the only two salts that we're using. Then we're going to go in with some garlic powder after that. Remember, this is beef, so we got to season this well. All right, we got that garlic powder on there. Now we're going in with the onion powder. Get that all down in there. Last but not least, we can't forget about that paprika. Oh, this one ain't even open. Let me see if I got one open. Being as you opening this stuff. All right, so I'm showing you how to make short ribs without browning them that are going to come out just as seasoned. So if you got quite a few things you're going to be doing that day and you don't have time to brown them, all you got to do is cook them a little bit longer. All right, so I'm threw that paprika in there. Then we're going to go ahead and just get our hands in there and get this thing a mix. And then we're going to see how it looks. Whether it look like we need to add us some more salt or something like that. And like I said, our salts today, we using beef bouillon and slap your mama. That's our two salts for today with this dish right here. You can use salt and pepper if you want, but I wanted to add a little bit more flavor. It's Mother's Day. I said, we're gonna bring it on in. All right, so that's how they look right there. Now, me personally, I'm looking at it. I think I want to add a little bit more because I want to make sure this is flavorful throughout. So I'm gonna add just a little bit more slap your mama, and I'm gonna add a little bit more garlic powder. All right, we don't have to add any more onion powder because I got some onions that's freshly cut right there that we're gonna add right to the top. All right, so you see those? See those right there? So now they pretty much ready to go. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take us some water and pour that right across the bottom of it. And that's gonna help us make our gravy. Once that beef bouillon falls down in that water, all right, we're gonna add us some water across the bottom of it, around the bottom of it. So what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna pour this water right in here. I'm not gonna pour it on top. I'm gonna pour it in between the ribs. All right, it's not going on top. It's going in between the short ribs. All right, so we got all that in there. We ready to go. Let me get my hands a rinse. We're gonna put some of these onions in there. Then we're gonna get ready to go on to the next. We're gonna add some of these onions in there right on top. We're gonna add some onions, some bell pepper, and I think that's about it. All right. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna take us some of these onions and we're gonna just sprinkle them right on in there, right along the top. We're gonna sprinkle them onions in there. All right. I'm gonna save the rest of those for my greens, and then I'm gonna sprinkle these right on in there. These bell peppers, they going right on the top. All right. So they're going right on the top. You want to make sure this is covered. with these peppers to make sure all these things is flavorful. And they getting ready to have some good short ribs. Look at them right there. Look at that. Look at those short ribs right there. They getting ready to go right in the oven. As soon as I can find the top to this thing. Let me see. I don't think it's not. Oh, you know what? I'm going to sprinkle some flour across the top too, because we're going to make us a gravy. But I want it to already thicken up. I want it to thicken up while it's cooking. All right, so we're going to just sprinkle us some flour across the top, and it's going to fall right down in there. And it's not going to be a lumpy gravy. It's because all this is going to do is thicken it up. We're going to make us some gravy at the end. All that's going to do is thicken it up. All that's going to do is thicken it up, all right? So now we're going to take our... All right, so all that's going to do is thicken it up. So you just want to shake it to make sure that flour is connecting with that water. And then that way it'll make a thicker juice and cook just like that. It'll cook thicker. And then when we get ready to make the gravy, it's already halfway there. All we got to do is add the little slurry or however we decide to do it. It's a couple different ways you can make that gravy. You can make that slurry, or if you really want to step on it, what you could do is make you a flour and gravy mixture, a flour and grease mixture on the stove, and then a roux or something, and then just add that, mix that right on in here with this gravy mixture, right on in here with this juice. All right, so that's what we got right there. That's what the short ribs look like before they go in the oven. Y'all got a good look at them. So they going in 4 hours at 350, 375. I'm gonna set my timer for 2.5 hours because that's when I want to add the gravy or make the gravy at that time. All right, so we got those in. Look at this gravy right here. Yeah, this gravy, nice and thick. All right, so we got these short ribs ready. Let me pick up a short rib and show you. We're gonna get it on a plate and let you see how tender it is. Look at these smothered short ribs right there. Yeah, so those are done. So we can cut that oven off.